I love the sound of the acoustic guitar and just playing a simple chord, just playing one little chord right there. It's one of the most pleasurable things I have in my life. I've been playing guitar as long as I can remember. And I love sharing the guitar, sharing what I know with people who want to learn. And I'm teaching guitar over at ArtistWorks.com. And we're doing a blog series, and this is a companion video for that blog series. And the idea for this particular video is, how do you get started? You know, what's the first thing that you need to do? Maybe you're finding yourself with a little extra time right now, and you're trying to make wise use of the time, and you'd like to do something new for yourself. Many people have always wanted to learn to play guitar. Many people maybe at one point in their past tried to learn the guitar, but never quite got over that first part of learning. And maybe you're in that situation and you'd like to learn, or you've never even tried to learn, but you're ready. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the very first step, which is, of course, to get a guitar and make sure it's right for playing. That's really all this video is going to discuss. So how do you get a guitar in your hands? Well, I mean, let's presume at the moment that you don't already have one. So you have a couple of choices. You can go down to your local music store, which would be the best thing to do. I like getting my instruments in local music stores because I like to support them. But also you get to play the guitar before you buy it. And also you can tell the person that's working there that you're a beginner and that you have a budget. Tell them what your budget for your instrument might be. And they can recommend the right guitar for you within your budget that would be good for a beginner. So I would suggest that you do that if at all possible. Even if you buy your guitar online, and you can often get a good deal when you do that, and you can probably get lucky about it, but even if you do, you may want to have it checked out at your local music store only because it might be a little bit out of adjustment. So the most important thing about learning how to play guitar is to have the right guitar, a guitar that's appropriate and that is set up correctly for a beginner player. And what I'm going to do is tell you what that is, or what the important aspects of that are. So we're talking about what we call playability, how easy the instrument is to play. And it's important because with guitars, they can get out of adjustment. They can even come from the factory out of adjustment, or they can just get out of adjustment kind of on their own, just from sitting around for a long time. So what does it mean for a guitar to be in adjustment or be out of adjustment? What we're really talking about is something that's called its action. And action refers to something very simple, and I'll show you. And once I show you, you'll be able to be knowledgeable when you go to your local music store. So you have guitar with strings. You can see the strings here on the top here. The strings are kind of going over this part of the guitar, which is called the fretboard, where the frets are, those bars that you see all the way across. See, the fretboard is kind of a dark color usually, and the strings are on top of it. And when we're talking about action, what we're talking about is how far the strings are from the fretboard. And what that means is how far you have to press them down to get to the fretboard. So that distance is called its action. And good action means that it's the correct distance. So that's what we mean by a guitar's action, is how far are the strings from the fretboard and how easy or hard are they to press down. Now you don't want them too close either. If they're too close to the fretboard, then you'll find other problems will be there, like you'll hear buzzing sounds and whatnot. But what you want is for the guitar to be fairly easy to hold your fingers down when you play. And when you're a beginner and you're just learning to play, you don't want to be fighting the instrument. I don't think that if you have a guitar where the action is not correct, in other words, where the strings are really high up, I don't think it's even really possible for a beginner to learn to play on such an instrument. It just becomes frustrating. So again, you just want to get it adjusted. So how do you get it adjusted? You take it to somebody who knows how to make that adjustment. So if you bought it at a music store, it'll probably be fine. You can make sure that it's in adjustment before you even take it home the first time. If you have an older guitar or you got a guitar from somewhere else, you need to find somebody who can check it for you and make any adjustments that you might need. You can take it to your local music store even if you didn't buy it there. Wouldn't be a bad idea to replace your strings anyway. So what you can do is call the store and tell them that you'd like to buy a new set of strings and have them put the strings on the guitar for you. And while it's there, you want to have them check the guitar out and make any adjustments that would be necessary in order for the guitar to play well for a beginner. So that's the easiest way to do it, is just to either buy a new one at your local music store or take your old guitar there, have the strings replaced, and while it's there, have them also check out the action for you. Another thing you can do if you don't have a store nearby and you can't do that, you can always have a relative or a friend of a friend, anybody that you can find who already plays guitar. Well, there's lots of guitars around, and you can have them come over and check it out for you and make sure that it plays well. If they can play guitar already, they'll know whether the guitar has good action or not. Also, you can check around for a local guitar repair person. You can maybe search the internet or ask around. You might have somebody who's independent of a store, but who also does guitar repair work. Or you even see guitar makers around. They're called luthiers. And any luthier will be happy to also make adjustments to your guitar for you. The adjustments that a guitar will need in order to have good playability is not an expensive adjustment. It's usually just making an adjustment to what's called a truss rod. A truss rod is inside of the neck, and there's an easy way for that adjustment to be made. I don't recommend that you do it, though. I recommend that you take it to somebody who knows how to do that. So, two things then. You want to make sure that the action is good, and you want to make sure that you have fresh strings. Even if you buy a brand new guitar, sometimes if the guitar has sat in the store for a long time, the strings are already kind of dead. So just be aware of that. But you want to make sure that the strings are relatively new, that sound good and bright. The main reason is that if the guitar strings are old and maybe even a little rusty, they'll sound dull and they'll be harder to tune. So, so that's the other thing. So get a guitar, get its action checked out or its playability checked out, and what you're looking for is for the playability to be right for a beginner player. Make sure that you have fresh strings. If you've done those things, you're ready to get going.